What are the biggest challenges that marketers are facing these days?
So these days, in 2023, we're coming out of two difficult years in 2020 and 2021, where we've experienced global crisis. We may be facing recession again in 2023 and onwards. And so this is our opportunity to take what we've learned from the first crisis that we've experienced and practice it. We may also want to have a plan B where we have shorter plans of quarters and operate on a more agile scale, and constantly be measuring ourselves month to month, sometimes week to week, in order to know how we are performing with our different marketing channels and optimize that as we go along. And I think one more challenge is the ability for marketeers to understand and discern where to put their investment. The budgets are going to be probably lower this year than in previous years. So you got to be smarter on how you spend your money and where you do it. And therefore, you got to be smarter with which channels you put your money on. There are a lot of temptations in experimenting with new tactics, new channels, new gimmicks or fads, and you want to be smart about how you do that, because not all the gimmicks that are out there are here to stay. And so you want to be smart on how you're experimenting. You want to allocate just a little bit of budget for it and measure your results and see whether you want to scale a specific channel or not. AI is becoming very popular now, but you got to be smart on how you're going to use that. What is it going to replace in your existing array of different tactics? Is it going to replace something, or is it just going to be a helpful tool for now? So you got to be smart on how you are implementing new technologies or new techniques.
What's your best advice for working with a PR agency?
So when you work with a PR agency, you want to have a partner that advises you about your communication strategy. You want to have a partner that is knowledgeable and has experience in the journalism media market. So, for example, when I worked at Aerobotics, a drone startup company, we were quite unknown, and our goal at the time was to become a category leader in a space of drone startups that was booming and was buzzing. We were quite calculated with whom we gave the stories to. We were raising a lot of money, and so we used that fundraising in order to leverage the storytelling of the company. We were putting in the front really good charismatic figures that would carry the story really well to the media, and it worked because we got a lot of exposure, but we also have received recognition through awards and through different lists in very high profile publications, like we got Bloomberg at the time, Wall Street Journal, and others, and that was not something easy, or it's definitely not common for a startup to receive such recognition. That PR strategy really helped us with generating a lot of leads for the company, and it's a B2B company, so it was quite easy to see the peak of leads generated after every PR campaign. And at the same time, we were able to attract new investors after every PR campaign. So the PR strategy really helped with raising money for the company, as well as raising the perception and the awareness to the company, and building the brand, of course. When I worked for Mindspace as the CMO of Mindspace, which is a company in the flex space and co-working, we worked together at London. And in London, Mindspace was an underdog, one of the smaller players. It's a saturated market, very competitive market. So we had to be laser focused in our PR efforts. We were aiming for trade publications mostly. We were going for radio. We were doing things that are less expensive, but have really accurate reach to the type of audience we needed. And we were going, I would say that we were going more for thought leadership than for general awareness. And so we positioned the CEO of the company as a figure that will be known in London. We opened a Forbes Communication Council in real estate for our CEO, and we were creating a lot of content there as well as on LinkedIn. So we did all that together, and I think working smartly in every, and very differently, by the way, in every market I've worked in terms of PR, was always a winning recipe.
What's it like to work together with SI14?
So I've worked with SI14, I think, in 3 different companies, and we still collaborate today when I'm at GCMO. When I started working with SI14 many years ago, and we worked together in several different companies because whenever I worked with them, I felt like I have a small boutique agency that is filled with professionals that come from within the industry, journalism, media, TV, radio, wherever. They know exactly what they're doing. They have the expertise, the previous expertise, to consult to me as if I am working with the reporter or with the journalist, and they know exactly what they would expect to see, what they would like to hear. They would consult me, and it wouldn't be just writing a press release. It would be really communication strategy. And obviously, the trust, the friendship, knowing that I can always pick up the phone and call, and I would get that consultation. Someone will think together with me. I'm not on my own to do all the tough work of strategizing my communication and PR, which is not easy. If you're a CMO. And so it was great to always have a professional on my side to work with when I was in the different companies. And for me, it was a no-brainer to just continue working with SI14 in every company that I worked for.
What do you think is the difference between when a company needs to focus on the local market versus a global market?
You need to have foot on the ground. You need to have someone there, a local person or an agency or even a freelancer that is there representing you and telling you the inside of the market and explaining to you where you got to be, where the people are at. You need to build your go-to-market strategy for a new market, and that takes into account your target audience, where they spend their time, where they consume their content, what kind of media are there in that new market that you're going into, what kind of publications, etc. You need to think scale, and scale not necessarily big size, but you got to be smart about how you replicate your campaigns from a local market to then one more market and even multiple markets. So whether it's a campaigns or a process that you've built, you need to be smart about how you take that and replicate that at the same time to multiple different markets, and do that with as least investment as possible, or as least energy spent as possible.